Everything is about to happen again with Neuralink after the success with the first patient. Recently, the FDA officially approved Neuralink to start trials on the second clinical patient over 100 days after receiving positive signals from the first patient, Noland Arbaugh. Some leaks about the next implantation have been revealed. Meanwhile, the first patient is actually starting to make money through Neuralink, with a huge amount of money expected to come in, and Elon Musk has also spoken out. So what's happening? On May 20th, Neuralink received approval from the FDA to continue testing on a second patient, which surprised many people, as previously, Neuralink faced a significant issue when the threads on the N1 chip retracted into the brain tissue of the first patient, Noland Arbaugh. The situation became more concerning when 3 internal company sources revealed that this problem had been anticipated during animal testing, and Neuralink has yet to fully resolve this risk. However, the company recently seems to have addressed the thread's retraction issue by proposing solutions for the problem encountered by the first patient, Noland Arbaugh. Surprisingly, this new solution is quite dangerous and more complex. Specifically, according to an acquaintance within the company and a document revealed by the Wall Street Journal in their efforts to address the occurred issue, Neuralink has proposed interventions, including still implanting the 64 ultra-thin threads of the N1 chip into the brain tissue, but at a deeper depth than the size of the first patient. This means that the next patient will have to undergo even higher levels of invasion. So is Neuralink being too reckless to solve the problem? Because there has never been any implant or invasion on the human brain before, this makes it difficult for the Neuralink team because they do not know how the brain will move in detail inside the skull. Noland Arbaugh shared, "Things became even more surprising when the company discovered that Noland's brain had moved 3 times more than they predicted, so the incorrect calculation risked the threads retracting, possibly due to it lying at an insufficient depth." Learning from the valuable experience of the first incident, one of the solutions approved by the FDA for the company is to implant 8mm deep threads into the motor cortex surface of the brain for the next patient, significantly more than the approximately 3 to 5mm invaded in the brain of the first patient, Noland Arbaugh. According to sources cited by the Wall Street Journal, deeper invasion will secure the threads in a fixed position with less risk of retraction, but it comes with a higher level of danger and brain damage. For the previous incident with the first patient, Neuralink took steps to increase the brainwave recognition sensitivity of the BCI chip operating algorithm, so there would be no need for surgery to correct or reconnect the electrodes, and the connecting threads has left the patient's brain. But for the second patient, everything will be changed from the beginning, starting with the size of the invasion. With FDA approval, Neuralink hopes to implant a second patient with a 30-minute surgery next June. According to a source familiar with the company, Neuralink, this person has said that more than 1,000 people with quadriplegia have registered on their patient list, although fewer than 100 people are eligible to participate in the PRIME study. And even though some of those people are still eligible, Musk posted on X on Thursday that the company's still accepting applications. Neuralink aims to implant 10 people this year and hopes to have a diverse group of recipients to study a variety of behaviors, including possible cases of blindness and spinal cord injuries. However, there are still mandatory conditions as well as challenges. According to familiar sources, people who sign up for Neuralink's patient list tend to be white and male. Could there be something behind this selective norm? What do you think? Recently, through the confirmation of the first patient, many secrets about the incident that happened to him have been revealed. Most notably, the number of threads on the N1 chip has retracted significantly more than the few threads Neuralink initially reported. Is the company still lacking transparency? You may already know this, but there are some people who still don't. The N1 device, or N1 chip from Neuralink, is a round chip containing electronics and a battery, approximately the size of a U.S. quarter with a diameter about 24mm and a few millimeters thick. As mentioned many times, the N1 chip has a total of 64 external threads made of polyamide, a type of biocompatible polymer, and each thread is thinner than a human hair. All 64 threads will be implanted into the motor cortex to transmit neural signals using the 1,024 electrodes contained within it. A few days after the implantation in January, Arbaugh used the Neuralink device to control the cursor on a computer screen solely with his thoughts. As a quadriplegic who had no movement below his shoulders for the past 8 years, Arbaugh suddenly found himself to be able to communicate with friends, play games, and interact with the world in ways that seemed impossible after his accident. However, issues eventually arose, leading many to wonder how many of the threads had retracted. Although Neuralink briefly mentioned that a few threads had retracted without providing specific numbers, this isn't entirely incorrect. But something far more serious occurred than we might have imagined. According to the first patient, Noland Arbaugh, Neuralink informed him that about 15% of the implanted threads in his brain remained in place. However, these threads have stabilized, he said, and subsequent software updates by the company have helped him regain much of the device's functionality, which he demonstrated during live streams. Now, let's focus more on the 15% of the total 64 threads. This means that the number of retracted threads amounts to over 50 threads, precisely nearly 55 threads damaged, leaving just under 10 threads still active. Out of the 1,024 signal-carrying pathways from the brain to the Neuralink chip connected to the computer, 85% are inactive, not receiving signals, or have detached from the brain's surface. After most of the threads ceased functioning as initially, Noland Arbaugh indeed observed that the N1 device was no longer performing as effectively as before. Most of the implanted threads in his brain had become loose and were no longer able to read the necessary electrical signals to translate his thoughts into cursor movements. Worst of all, in late February through mid-March, BPS, bits per second, experienced a severe decline, and it wasn't until early April that Neuralink could restore everything to its initial state. How did Neuralink truly frighten everyone? As Neuralink prepares for its second patient, Noland Arbaugh, the first one, has shared about the device's impact on his life and the mixed emotions he experienced before, during, and after it partially lost functionality. Naturally, fear is the first thing anything would feel. I was on such a high level, and then to be brought down that low, it was very, very hard, Arbaugh said in an interview. I cried. When Arbaugh learned why his device stopped responding to his thoughts, he asked if it could be removed and repaired, or if it could be replaced. A team of 3 Neuralink employees broke the news to him at a hotel near Neuralink's headquarters in California, a mile away, where he planned to visit after driving from Arizona with his family. Arbaugh's medical team said they didn't want to perform another brain surgery and preferred to wait for more information, he recalled. Several weeks after notifying Arbaugh of the issue, Neuralink was still trying to determine exactly what had happened. But Arbaugh described in the interview how the company's engineers improved the performance of his device by changing how it decoded his brain signals. As we shared, the Neuralink team focused on clusters of nerve cells providing strong signals and turned off many electrodes receiving weak or no signals. In a blog post earlier this month, the company stated that they had modified their recording algorithm to be more sensitive to signals from nerve clusters. That improvement has brought things to the point where Arbaugh said he has surpassed the abilities he had before the implanted threads retracted. It makes me very, very hopeful for the future, he said in an interview. It seems like we've learned a lot and everything seems to be heading in the right direction. Neuralink hopes to submit applications for regulatory approval to authorities in Canada and the UK in the coming months to commence similar trials in these countries, they said. Their patient roster has opened for Canada and will open for the UK in the days ahead. Now, do you believe Neuralink patients can earn income to avoid becoming a burden on their families? Noland Arbaugh is actually doing that, and Elon Musk has also provided significant support to his patients. How did money making with Neuralink start? Perhaps you might think that we're exaggerating when it's hard to believe that someone with paralysis, always associated with a wheelchair and a bed, could earn money. Yeah, that might be true, but it's true for those who haven't heard of Neuralink yet. Before becoming Neuralink's first patient, 30-year-old Noland Arbaugh's lifestyle was severely limited. Most of his family and his family's time was spent dealing with hospitals, insurance providers, and caregivers. He also primarily communicated by holding a stick in his mouth to poke at an iPad. Since receiving the Neuralink brain implant in January, Arbaugh's life has changed, and in a recent social media post, he noted that he is now seeking ways to support himself and his family rather than relying solely on Neuralink's support to make money. Thanks to the Neuralink implant, Arbaugh can now control tech devices with his mind. This means he can proficiently use computers and do a lot with the internet. He has noted extensively that the first thing he did after being implanted with Neuralink was to play Civilization VI for a few hours. With his newfound proficiency, Arbaugh is also actively engaging on social media platform X, where he shares posts about Neuralink, positive updates, and recently conducted a poll about how he can sustain himself in the long term. As Arbaugh noted in his post, he wants to find a way to sustain himself and even potentially help build a home for himself and his family, something that seemed impossible for Noland before because he couldn't intervene in anything. The Neuralink patient posted a few options in his polls, such as activities that he can now do to his brain implant, such as streaming. Arbaugh also admitted that he had been quite hesitant to ask such a question, but he wishes to no longer be a burden to those around him. The Neuralink's patient opinion poll has garnered considerable attention on X, including significant interaction from Elon Musk. Arbaugh's survey includes options for monetizing accounts, streaming, using GoFundMe, or all of the above. Similar to other users, Elon advised the Neuralink patient to go for all his options, although the CEO noted that Arbaugh should probably start with monetizing his accounts and streaming first. Other users also advised the Neuralink patient that he can go on speaking tours and other activities since his life is quite inspiring and unique. While Arbaugh's poll is quite simple, its very presence highlights just how life-changing Neuralink's technology is to people. As noted in a Bloomberg News report, Arbaugh had actually attempted to get a job despite his condition in the past, but he's never been successful since he couldn't type fast enough. Things are a bit different with his Neuralink brain implant, however, so perhaps Arbaugh could achieve his dream of supporting himself and his family this time around. Earning money with the support of Neuralink, in our view, is a very promising direction for any patient. Firstly, for the initial 10 trial participants, they may not have to pay any costs associated with the implantation. This is a golden opportunity for patients to test advanced technology without the financial burden. However, in the future, as this technology becomes more widely applied, the costs associated with Neuralink's implantation won't be insignificant. We are required to pay a significant amount to use it. Therefore, earning money becomes an important factor in reducing financial burdens and offsetting the costs of implantation. But the most important thing is still the patient's health and recovery after the implantation process. Earning money can provide financial support, but it cannot replace the comprehensive and effective recovery process. Therefore, both earning money and the recovery process need to be carefully considered to ensure the best outcome for the patient. The combination of stable finances and good health will help patients have a better quality of life after Neuralink implantation. Finally, invading threads at a deeper level still poses significant risks, and the company has not disclosed how to minimize brain trauma if the threads are embedded at 8 mm instead of the originally planned 3 to 5 mm. Many previous BCI cases have shown that when the brain suffers more severe damage due to aggressive intrusion methods, the human body will naturally seek out foreign objects and expel them. Moreover, embedding threads deeper also requires a more challenging implantation technique, along with an absolute requirement for precision. Imagine if the embedding location's misplaced and multiple attempts are needed. That would be extremely daunting. As mentioned earlier this year, the number of Neuralink patients for the PRIME trial reached 10 individuals. This time, both Elon Musk and the company need to be cautious and thoroughly research the intrusion process to avoid any more serious incidents. If these incidents persist, there's no guarantee that Neuralink won't face FDA rejection for future trials. Neuralink needs to minimize risks as much as possible to avoid facing public backlash, especially as Neuralink's competitor, Synchron, is preparing for a large-scale clinical trial to seek commercial approval for its implant device. Mass General Brigham has also made efforts to collaborate with stakeholders and the FDA to accelerate the development of their implant devices. Although Neuralink has demonstrated success in animal trials and achieved significant milestones with humans, its true measure of success still lies in long-term performance and absence of adverse effects. Naturally, no one would place a trust in a device that only works for a short amount of time. As the company continues to push the boundaries of neurotechnology, its efforts promise to revolutionize how humans interact with machines through the power of the mind. It's estimated that there are 180,000 people in the United States with quadriplegia, and each year approximately 18,000 more individuals suffer from spinal cord injuries leading to paralysis. We live in a digital society where much of our work, entertainment, and social lives depend heavily on using computers and smart devices. Individuals with quadriplegia often find that their need for seamless engagement with the digital world is not met, leading to decreased independence, isolation, and financial challenges. And Neuralink stated that company goal is to provide a high-performance interface that'll enhance the control of digital devices for people with quadriplegia, unlocking their personal and professional potential. Indeed, the emergence of Neuralink is considered a liberation for those with paralysis and neurological disorders by providing a high-performance interface that enhances control over digital devices for quadriplegic individuals, unlocking their personal and professional potential. Elon Musk is truly paving the way for a less painful world. So, we want to ask you, what do you think Neuralink should focus on at the moment? Troubleshooting or developing the N1 chip? Also, what do you think will be the biggest barrier for this technology to be applied to more people down the road? We appreciate all your contributions. And with that said, we certainly hope you have the most relaxing feelings after watching this video. Thank you so much. In the event that you did like the video, We ask that you hit the like button and join the Tesla Car World family by subscribing to our channel. That way, you'll never miss out on any of our awesome videos. Just hit that bell icon. We value your feedback and your time. And again, thank you so much for watching, and we hope to see you soon. Until then, stay safe, have fun, and God bless. Bye.